Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
Well, it's a pleasure to have Carly Fiorina on the program. How are you?
I'm well, Mark. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. It's my pleasure. Now, Carly Fiorina, this country is facing truly numerous perilous things here. I mean, I'm watching this Senate hearing today with John Kerry, and they're making representations that they simply cannot live up to. Did you see any of that?
Well, I haven't seen it because I've been out here campaigning in Iowa, but what I have heard about it is really disturbing. I mean, now we know we have secret side deals. We know that, no, John Kerry never meant anytime, anywhere inspections. I mean, the more we learn about this deal, the worse it gets.
I'm very, very troubled also that when the president takes potential military action off the table, and at the same time is gutting the United States military, I mean, doesn't this provoke our enemies, including the Iranians?
Of course. Look, we have been rewarding bad behavior. Secretary of State Clinton and President Obama have been rewarding bad behavior. Russia's bad behavior, Syria's bad behavior, Cuba's bad behavior, Iran's bad behavior, Libya's bad behavior. And when you reward bad behavior, you get more of it. The other thing, Mark, I would just say about the Iran deal, even if Congress manages to stop it and override a presidential veto, and I hope they do, but the rest of the world has moved on. Russia, China, the European Union, they've approved this thing. And it means the money is already flowing, no matter what we do. And so what I have said I would do on day one in the Oval Office is make 2 phone calls. First, to Bibi Netanyahu, my good friend, to reassure him we will stand with the state of Israel. And second, to the supreme leader of Iran, who might not take the phone call, but the message is clear. Until and unless you allow real anytime, anywhere inspections of every military facility and every nuclear facility, we're going to cut off your access to the global financial payment system called SWIFT. We're going to make it as hard as possible for you to move money around the global financial system. We have to stop the flow of money. We can, unilaterally, without anyone's permission, and we need to.
Oh, I like those ideas. Let me ask you this. That we only have one segment, so I want to move around to these different issues to make sure my audience knows, your positions and you have a fair opportunity to articulate them. This issue of immigration, we have never had uninterrupted, constant immigration in this country, except since 1965. And it's having an effect on jobs. It's having an effect on the welfare state. What do you think about this?
Well, I think it's a festering problem, and I would just point out that we've had lots of politicians stand up and give speeches about this problem for many decades. The truth is our border has been insecure for 25 years. Our legal immigration system has been broken for 25 years. We've had sanctuary cities for 15 years. It's why 80% of the American people now think the professional political class cares more about its own power, privilege, and position than on getting anything done. It isn't rocket science to secure the border. It takes money, it takes manpower, it takes technology, but mostly, apparently, it takes political willpower. And the reason I'm running for president is because I think we need a different kind of leadership now that will actually challenge the status quo of Washington, actually get something done, and solve these festering problems.
What would be your 2 or 3 biggest issues?
Well, look, there are festering problems we have to solve. We have to secure the border. We have to do all these things we just talked about. Fix the legal immigration system. Make sure that, the federal laws are followed in sanctuary cities. We have to repeal a whole set of things that have been done, the EPA regulations that have been rolled out that are destroying our ability to be a global energy powerhouse in the 21st century. We have to repeal Obamacare. We have to repeal the executive orders on immigration. So we have to undo a bunch of things and deal with some basic things. But fundamentally, 3 things I'm focused on. 1, how do we get this economy going and growing again? And what that means is we have to challenge crony capitalism to its core. What is crony capitalism? It's when big companies, powerful, wealthy, well-connected interests do well with big government. And the bigger and more complicated and more powerful government gets, the more the big, the powerful, the wealthy, and the well-connected thrive. So we have to reduce the size of government and simplify it, because we're now crushing the real engine of economic growth in this nation, which is small businesses, family-owned businesses, community-based businesses. We also have to put people back to work, which means we have to incent people totally differently. Today we are motivating people not to work. We're rewarding people for not to work. So we have to change that. Second broad category, we have to fix the festering problems that the federal government has brought us, which means we actually have to know where our money is being spent. I would go to zero-based budgeting. We actually have to fire senior executives in the government who don't do their jobs. We actually have to deal with the hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption that we are told about year after year after year, and yet nothing happens. And then finally, we have to reset the world's expectation of American leadership. And that's why I would make those 2 phone calls I mentioned, to Bibi Netanyahu and to the Supreme Leader of Iran, because every ally we have in this world is watching how we treat Israel. And they conclude when we treat Israel as we have, that their friendship with us doesn't mean very much. And every adversary we have is watching us cave and roll over to Iran. So with those 2 phone calls, although there will be much more to be done, we must, for example, have the strongest military on the face of the planet, and everyone has to know it. And that means we have to fix the VA once and for all, which has been a stain on our nation's honor for 2 decades, not 2 years. But with those 2 phone calls, our adversaries would get the message. And the message to both our adversaries and our allies would be, America is back in the leadership business.
That's excellent. Now, I think you've been extremely effective in exposing Hillary Clinton's unlimited weaknesses. And I think it's very, very important that you do that. Now, let me ask you this. What do you think her 3 biggest weaknesses are?
She is not trustworthy. We know this, but let me be specific. She lied about Benghazi. She's lied about many things. She has engaged in a cover-up. She has blood on her hands, literally, over that incident. But when we learn that she has a private server in her basement and she doesn't do anything to clean it up for 2 years, but suddenly, when she's subpoenaed and when people are starting to look for her emails, she wipes the server clean, she is not trustworthy. Second, she lacks a track record of leadership. People will say to me, well, she's held all these positions. She's been a Secretary of State. She's been a senator. She's been a First Lady. And my response is those are all titles. That's all they are. They're big titles. And leadership is not about title. She has accomplished nothing with these titles. And she has no track record of leadership. I can recall saying, the first person to say, way back at CPAC in February, Mrs. Clinton, please name an accomplishment. She has not yet. And third, the policies she is going to pursue, the left-wing progressive policies that she will pursue, will further crush this nation.
Mm-hmm. You've heard of, or maybe you've seen these videos with Planned Parenthood. I find them absolutely grotesque and unbelievable that you have people sitting there over a meal discussing the sale of baby tissues and baby parts. What do you make of that?
Well, I have been very public and outspoken on this, and I would invite your listeners to check out the clip of me talking about this on Jake Tapper, CNN, or the videotape that I released with a set of pro-life leaders the morning this second videotape broke. This is not about whether someone is pro-choice or pro-life, although I am pro-life. This is about moral depravity. This is about the core of the moral character of this nation, the hypocrisy of lobbying against a woman's ability to see an ultrasound before she chooses to end the life she is carrying within her. Something that Hillary Clinton has lobbied against, by the way, over and over again. Oh, no, we can't let women see ultrasounds as they face a terrible choice of their unborn child. And yet, these same callous people sitting at that lunch table, as you mentioned, swilling their wine and eating their salads, are perfectly prepared to use ultrasounds to help them figure out how best to harvest body parts. And when the policy of the Democrat Party is, it's not a life until it leaves the hospital, which is their policy, in fact, the hypocrisy to then say, well, these body parts are alive enough that we're going to harvest them for money. It is shameful. It goes to the character of our nation.
Let me ask you one final question. You're running in a heavy Republican field here. You've got Jeb Bush raising all kinds of money. It's harder to get your message out, although I must say you've been very effective. You've had one of the most effective messages out there, and it's consistent, and you're hammering away. But in terms of these debates and so forth and so on, what can you do to overcome this money issue when it comes to Bush or some of the others?
Well, I've said all along, I'm not going to raise as much money as a lot of these candidates. I'm certainly not going to raise as much money as Bush, but you don't need all the money all at once. It's worth remembering that at this time in previous presidential cycles, at this time in the cycle, the polls and the pundits and the money said Jimmy Carter couldn't win, Ronald Reagan couldn't win, Bill Clinton couldn't win, and Barack Obama couldn't win. So I think it's a little early to decide who's going to win based on the polls or the pundits or the money. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, which is talking with as many people as I can. Speaking clearly about the issues that confront us, putting forward my solutions, talking about why I believe this election fundamentally is about conservatism versus progressivism, and why I think a different kind of leadership is required. And I'm going to put my faith in the good judgment and the common sense of the American people.
Well, I think you're running a very effective campaign, if that matters. Can you give us...
Thank you. It matters a lot. Oh, great.
Well,
it matters a lot.
Can you give us a contact if people want to get involved or give a donation? Where do they go?
Please go to carlyforpresident.com. carlyforpresident.com.
All right. Well, God bless you and be safe out there.
Thank you so much, Mark, for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Take care. I tell you, I'm going to give everybody a positive chance to make their message. I don't want to be the story. I want them to be the story. And I think she's been very effective with her speeches, don't you, Mr. Producer? She's pounded the hell out of Hillary. We have to take these liberals on. And I'm excited about candidates who do. And advance a conservative agenda. If we don't go on offense, we're going to lose. It's that simple. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.